The Mustang Shelby GT350 is one of Ford's hottest handling vehicles ever, with four-wheel independent suspension, massive Brembo brakes, and the now famous Voodoo V8 under the hood. The GT350 is built to crush corners and look good doing it, which is why I'm in this one. Punch it, Bob! Perfect. This thing is so cool. I'm here at the Snake Pit in Columbia Station, Ohio to check out our newest catalog feature vehicle, Bob Ramser's 2017 Shelby GT350. Let's see what we've got. From the factory, the Shelby GT350 sets itself apart from the standard Mustangs with track-focused dynamics. The front clip is unique to this car with a widened fenders and a re-engineered suspension geometry to accommodate the wider tires and withstand the extreme cornering loads. These cars also have enhanced cooling systems as well with extensive weight reduction efforts. For many enthusiasts, that's all the Ford performance they could ever want. But that was just the beginning for Bob. The chassis of his GT350 has been further tightened up with a slew of BMR performance parts, including a revised K-member, vertical links, chassis rails, a cradle bushing lockout kit, and for additional safety and chassis strength, the rear seat has been deleted to make way for a 4-point roll bar. Ford Performance Springs lowering the car by an inch front and rear, providing an aggressive stance that shows off the 20-inch signature wheels. Measuring 11 inches up front and 11.5 inches in the back, the ultra-wide Michelin Pilot Sport Pro 4S tires on all four corners complete the setup. Inside, the Shelby retains its OE Ricardo seats, but Bob swapped out the steering wheel for this slick carbon fiber number. He rose his own gears with a custom short throw shifter, commanding the factory Tremec 6-speed transmission. It spins a custom carbon drive shaft from the drive shaft shop, and the torque transfer is handled by a Manic triple disc clutch. But the real piece de resistance is under the hood, where Bob topped off this Shelby high-revving Voodoo V8 with a 2.9 liter Gen 3 Whipple supercharger kit, complete with a 132mm throttle body, cold air intake, and Injector Dynamics 1050 injectors. All this works together with a quartet of custom ground cams to produce a tire shredding 780 horsepower and 562 foot-pounds to the rear wheels. It sounds like nothing else in this Ford lineup. Let's take a listen. That incredible sound is pumped through a set of Stainless Works long tube headers, as well as a 3-inch Redline series exhaust that works just like the Shelby's original active exhaust system. That means if Bob wants to quiet it down, he can do it with just the touch of a button. I just can't imagine he'd ever want to, but I bet this beast sounds even better when it's out on the road. So enough talking about the car, let's go for a spin. GT350 is a very capable car right out of the box. What motivated you to modify this thing in the way that you did?
Purchasing the car, it had all the handling that I wanted. First step was obviously appearance and wheels and a little bit of touch of carbon fiber. And then after driving it, I took it down to the tail of the Dragon with one of our mechanics at the shop, and we drove the car on the tail, and Bill was like, hey man, this thing would be so much better. It has the handling, let's put a blower on it. And I was like, oh, okay.
You chose a blower for this setup, and in the Coyote craze and between 5 liters and Voodoos, you see a lot of turbo cars or even like crazy NA builds. What made you go with the blower versus another power adder?
So this blower was actually on Clint's GT350. He was going to go to the Kenny Bell, so it was sitting on the shelf and it was a good steal. And I didn't want the car to have crazy power, but I just wanted it to have enough. I like the blower setup. It's the ease of it. So when we started doing it, like turbos were just starting to become the craze and what everybody was doing. I know I didn't want to keep it NA, I didn't want to keep it stock, and I just didn't want to go after that. So I'm like, what could I do to this car just to make it my own? And with oil consumption concerns on the 350 platform, we knew we had to do oil pump and crank gear. So we went after that, and then we had Michael at L&M Engines grind us a custom cam for it. And then from there, it was like, all right, let's do the blower and let it rip. And the car made 780 on pump gas at 8,200 RPM. We kept shredding belts. So I think the car's got 800 in it all day long. But after 3 belts being shred on a 10-rib pulley, I was done spending money on belts. The stance of the car, to me, is what sets it off. It's got sexy body lines, you know, and the wheels from Signature was just a custom touch that made it all come together.
Tell us where your love for the Mustang started and kind of how it's developed, and you know, you have a stable full of pony cars now, or a, you know, a bag full of snakes, however you want to go about it.
So growing up, all my buddies through high school, they started with the Fox body. I always wanted a Fox body, so my love was like a 90 GT hatchback. I just loved the way it looked. I didn't care if it was fast, but never was able to be able to afford one. And then just working through it, I went out to Montrose Ford, and my black 2014 Roush was sitting in the showroom, and I had my dad with me, and he's like, hey, what about that Roush? And I'm like, I don't know if I can afford it. And you know, I was making good money. Talked to the guy, and just next thing you know, it happened. When I bought the Roush, I wanted to do the Willwood big brakes on it, and I asked my one buddy, I said, who should I take this to do the work on the car? And he's like, the only person I trust with Mustangs is the snake pit. And Clint was still smaller at that, and dropped the car off, talked to him, he did a little bit more work on it, and I just happened to ask one day, I'm like, hey, how can I be around a little bit more? This is something I'm really passionate about. It's my release from my stress. Like, I could get in a car and just go. And I started coming around, and one day we were sitting around the shop in the winter, and he handed me a key to the shop. And I'm like, what's this? He's like, don't mess this up. And I'm like, oh man. So I knew at that point, like, I got accepted into a brotherhood. 2 years later, Clint's like, everyone started getting 350s, and he's like, hey, you need to get a GT350. I drove his blue car, and I'm like, oh my God, I fell in love. And I'm like, only way I get one is if it's red with white stripes. Found one online, and the price just started coming down because COVID hit. So I got this car at a steal down in Columbus, and it had 1,500 miles on it. From there, the GT500 came out, and we have a contact at a Ford dealer locally, and I told Bill, I said, listen, the only way I will buy a GT500 if it's silver with black stripes and it has the Recaros. Somebody backed out on the allocation. He calls me, he's like, they have a 500. It's silver with black stripes with Recaro. I had to go home and beg to the wife and say, hey, I'm buying another car.
Just one more.
Just one more. So my goal is I want a car from every generation that I grew up around, and that would be, so a Fox body, and then the next one is I would love to have a white Terminator, so that I would have basically every generation.
Yeah, so out of your 3 cars, do you have a partial favorite, or is it a, you know, a 30-30-30 split?
No, so everyone asks me, my Roush will never get sold. It is where it all started. If I had to sell one, it'd be the silver GT500. This one is my favorite one, just because the color, everything came together on it the way I wanted it. I hit this one on the first try with the wheels and the stance and the sound and the combination of putting the blower on it. That's why I think I'm partial to it. It's just, I just got it right.
Thanks for the awesome ride, Bob. What do you say we put this pony back in the stable and see where it was built? So I'm here with Clint Cheney, owner and mastermind behind the Snake Pit. This place is absolutely amazing, and thank you so much for having us today.
Thanks for coming, we appreciate it.
So tell us kind of how this whole crazy deal happened, because it's wild.
I'd like to say I had some grand master plan, but it started out just as a vacant space next door to a company, a construction company I worked at the time. We rented the space, and just slowly over time, it was just a hobby shop. I worked on my own car, friends would work on their cars here. My head mechanic Bill Coleman came on, and that's when things really sort of changed gears for us. Bill had worked on cars his whole life, so we started doing more and more, started working on other people's cars, and that's when it turned from a hobby shop into a full-fledged speed shop.
So there's a lot of, Mustangs around here, and I would like to say pony cars, but not so much. It's there's a lot of Cobras around here.
Yes, that's where the name came from. Actually, Bill sort of coined that. He walked in one day and looked around with all the snakes on the cars and said, "Man, this is like a snake pit." So that sort of stuck.
That is super cool. So do you guys work on just exclusively Mustangs or a little bit of everything?
Mechanically, it's just Ford products. We also do trucks, Broncos, Super Duties, F-150s. We've done a twin turbo F-150. We worked on Coyote Swap, classic F-150s. So it's mostly late model Mustangs, but we will work on any Ford mechanically. But we also do paint correction, ceramic coating, and we've done all types of vehicles with that. We've done Bentleys we actually just had a Challenger in here that just left yesterday. So we work on a lot of cars, but mechanically it's just Fords.
So Clint, you guys have worked on a bunch of different stuff over the years. What is your favorite project you've ever worked on, and kind of what are you excited about right now?
Some of my favorite projects are probably some of the shop cars you see around you now. Generally, our shop cars or shop projects, we sort of try and push the envelope, explore some territory that we don't normally do. Those are some of my favorite builds. They can also be some of the biggest headaches. And I'm also very excited about the future of the snake pit and our growth. Our customer base is expanding. Word of mouth is very important for us. And we treat everybody's car like they are our own, or like we would treat our own cars.
So one of the cool things here about the snake pit is a couple of you guys have known each other quite a long time. So tell us how that camaraderie kind of blends into what you guys are doing here in the shop.
One of the guys here at the shop, Greg Hildebrand, and I both have a construction background, so we were working together in the trades 20, 30 years ago, so that's how our friendship started there. I have history with Bill back even before the snake pit started with Mustang related stuff. He would actually work on my car. The snake pit's been around for 2025 will be our 10th year, so even guys that I just know through the snake pit, we have a lot of history with, and it's really like a big family for us. We're not just workmates, but we're friends and family, so we do a lot with each other socially and not just at work.
So, being a bunch of Mustang enthusiasts, how does Summit Racing help you guys elevate your hobby?
Summit, it's really key for us. There's a lot of times, last minute, we realize we're missing parts. It's just so nice to have them so close. I can place an order in the afternoon and have it at the shop door the next day. And it really helps out having that basically at our back door. So there's a lot of time we depend on it because I'll forget something, a fastener or fluids or whatever it might be. And we're always, just a day away from parts. So we really appreciate being so close to you guys.
Yeah, and we appreciate the business. So enough talking. This has been so much fun. Let's go look at some really cool cars.
Sure.
Thanks again for the ride, Bob. That was so much fun. This thing is absolutely amazing.
You're very welcome.
And thanks to everybody at the Snake Pit for giving us an amazing shop tour and showing us all these really cool, unique cars. So if you guys like what you saw, make sure to like and subscribe to the Summit Racing YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any content like this or more. And then again, I'm Justin with Summit Racing. We have Bob here, and thanks for watching.